I saw how she trapped you, fighting her holy moral mission. I've watched you from deep behind Norman's cowardly eyes, struggling to have everything you want, while the world tries to make you change. Gods don't have to choose.
It's that time of the month, people. It's about time that we talk about one of the most disturbing and downright horrible heroes in the Incredibles universe. Back in the glory days, there were bound to be top heroes. Factions consisted of supers that had the most synergy in their powers, and most of them came together because of their drive to do good. Most of you already know some of the groups: the Phantasmics, Beta Force, and the one we all know and love, the Thrilling Three. But above all those factions was one that didn't have a name to our knowledge. This team consisted of Mr. Incredible, Frozone, Simon, I Have to Save Everyone, Gazerbeam, and the number one op of this channel that I refuse to defend, Gamma Jack. Gamma Jack has gained an almost cult-like following over the past few months. See what I did there? Video edits of him have been circulating the internet for the duration of the time that he's been discovered, and hundreds of videos were being made discussing the character. One of the most recent videos that has seemingly blown up was the theory of Jack being Gamma Jack from the future. I don't know, man, that's a little far out there, even for my liking. And another reason why I believe Jack ends up being one of the scummiest heroes out there is because of the things that we are going to be discussing today. Oh, but Greg, Bob and Frozone were friends with him. Technically, that means he was just an unhinged friend we all hung out with, but was actually really cool. Hey, look at me. You need professional help if you think Gamma Jack was cool. Now, why do I hate this so much? Well, in today's cult meeting, we are going to be discussing the lore of Gamma Jack, breaking down his file from the NSA, and finally put the statement to rest. Why Gamma Jack is the most disgusting superhero in the verse. There isn't much lore to Jack other than he's an asshole in the NSA files and is an absolute tool that needed to be taken care of immediately. Hashtag he had to go. But surprisingly, we get more of what Jack actually is in the prequel novel, a real stretch, an Elastigirl prequel. In the book, we find out Gamma Jack is a part of the Showcase of Heroes. Here, he is depicted as a celebrity-type stereotype, blowing kisses to fans, signing autographs, and taking pictures with as many female fans as he can. He also judges some costumes from the Super's costume competition. In the book, and related to the character files, they paint him as a confident, showy ladies' man type. Hair carefully swooped, sharp jawline and nose shape, into the mirror hair products, and definitely enjoying his limelight. Helen, also known as Elastigirl, notices him but doesn't take him seriously or romantically. He's more of a comic relief celebrity eye candy from her perspective. There's a bit of sly satire in his portrayal. Gamma Jack is a reminder that supers aren't all earnest heroes. Some are entertainers, brand aware, and very performative. His entire character design basically parades the behavior that underlines a celebrity angle. Now, most of you are going to pause this video and scroll down to the comment section and type out, "See, he ain't that bad. He's just a representation of how being a superhero is also like being a celebrity." You know, some words should not go together. Like, I don't know, superhero and celebrity. Modern celebrities nowadays are already as bad as they can get. The most recently talked about celebrities with massive egos and think they're better than all of their fans mostly come from Disney, but I digress. Could you imagine what that fame could do to someone with radioactive powers as ego? Well, I do. Here, let me play Jack's file again, really quick so that you know what you're dealing with.
There's always going to be a lot of collateral damage. There's lots of villains, and there's lots of villainous deeds going on at any given time. Part of my job is to prioritize which villains I'm going to combat. So I take a look around, I see if there's any good-looking women who need to be rescued immediately, and then I sort of start from there and work my way down the list. If you've got Tubby Joe Schmo over there with a laser pointed at his head, and he might have to wait in line a little while.
Looking at his file, his powers are really straightforward. Being able to control radiation to the point where it can burn through solid steel, but his range is very limited, going up to only 100 meters. But when you look down at his personality traits is where it gets really disturbing. He was originally known as Handsome Jack, which if you're a Borderlands fan, you already know that this alone is a red flag. Is a favorite of the ladies as stated in the Elastigirl novel, and is a very picky eater. But notice the other two lines of text. He is prone to tyrannical or megalomaniacal impulses and believing that supers are the superior race, and my personal favorite, and let me get in real close for this, the NSA recommends close monitoring. You know what that tells me? It tells me a lot of things. Now let's start with the superiority complex. Now, when you think of supers that have a superiority complex, or dare I say God complex, you think of Homelander, Ultraman, and one of my personal favorites, the former two that I have mentioned are tyrants in their reality. Ultraman being the evil version of Superman and rules over his Earth as a merciless god. And the other is a criminally insane man-child with mommy issues that was experimented on since he was 10. Drawing these comparisons, we now know what such power can do to someone. May that be an alien from another world or a boy that has been tortured his whole life. Now imagine that same ego and put it on a hero that can literally control radiation. Knowing that almost nothing can stop you from melting their faces in can give someone an ego bigger than Broly's cup. You know another famous super that believes their race is superior? Magneto, believing mutants are the superior race and how humans should bow to them in the old Ultimates universe. It's the perfect example of what great power can do to a man's thought process. Not only does Jack have a massive ego, but his audio file still doesn't help his case.
So I take a look around, I see if there's any good-looking women who need to be rescued immediately, and then I sort of start from there and work my way down the list. If you've got Tubby Joe Schmo over there with a laser pointed at his head, and he might have to wait in line a little while.
This line alone tells me this man had no regards for other lives unless they were hot women that he found attractive. This blatant favoritism on who to save is not only disturbing, it is outright wrong. It gets worse from here.
Yeah, I've fought my fair share of villains, and they all have their own unique challenges. They got their zombie monkeys and their giant laser robots and their super aquatic ninja pygmies. But I tell you, once in a while, the real kicker is I get these dames, man, these dame villains, and they got the curves and the hair and the big eyes, and boy, those ones they're really, really hard to kill. Especially the ones that they come up and and they're looking at you and you're looking at them and you feel that simpatical, like she's digging you and you're digging her, digging you, and boy, you really got to take a jog around the block real quick and sort of get your concentration back, compose yourself, because you can't get distracted by these sort of thoughts when you're going up against a super villain. That's one of the hard parts of the jobs, when you come across a dame who's really something to look at, and you just gotta let her have it because she's a villain. Yeah, those are the bad days.
His limit does not stop at just civilians or fellow supers. If a supervillain is attractive enough in his eyes, he has, in his words, an urge that he himself has admitted to having and has confessed it's extremely hard to control. Thank God The Incredibles is a PG product and IP. Otherwise, this would be a completely different video. Jack has said time and time again that he will prioritize to save attractive women and attractive women only. Sure, he says Tubby Joe Schmo will have to wait in line when it comes to being saved, but let's be real, Does he ever go back to save good old Joe, who has a family of 5, 6 kids, a wife, and works a 9-to-5 job and barely makes ends meet? No. Instead, I'd assume that he leaves it up to Mr. Incredible and the rest of his team to take care of the people he refuses to save. That's one of the many factors I believe the NSA had him on a watch list. Which brings me to another point I like to talk about that I assume the NSA took with Jack. I believe Jack was being monitored closely by 2 of the top supers in the verse, Mr. Incredible and Frozone. Now why is that? Mr. Incredible is known to be the guy, the Superman of this universe, the tippy top of the power scaling ladder. Of course, you'd want him to be on watch of a ticking time bomb. Frozone, on the other hand, is the wild card in the containment. If Jack does eventually decide to act on his tyrannical tendencies, Frozone can help Mr. Incredible contain Jack by using his ice to prevent Jack from using his powers. Because again, Jack's powers are, well, gamma-based. And from what I've seen, when ice gets cold enough, it can prevent damage induced by radiation. But then again, I'm no science channel, but moving on. Knowing all of this and looking back at the Elastigirl novel shows Jack in a completely new light. Knowing that he has these tendencies and still has time for meet and greets is very disturbing. Basically disguising himself as a hero to draw attention of unsuspecting fans of his and using his popularity as a conversation starter at superhero gatherings. From here, we can only assume what Jack does with his fans when given the chance, or if he's had any past relations with his fans or other fellow supers. That is completely out in the wild because there's not much evidence that I've found to support my case, but you'll get the general idea of what he does. Now, most of the time it could be consensual, but there are some times that it would most likely not be, according to his file, because after how he speaks about supervillains, it's most likely he's had a thought or two. Now, here's the big question. Is Gamma Jack redeemable? Yes. I believe everyone is redeemable. Even the worst of the worst has just a little bit of good in them. As much as it pains me to say it, despite all the horrible things Jack has done and most likely done in the shadows, and how much I despise the way he thinks, I believe deep down, in that brain of his, Jack still cares about the people around him. Sure, he believes that supers are the superior race, but that doesn't mean he neglects the lives of those around him. Well, he sort of does, but even if he only saves beautiful women, when a crisis erupts, he trusts his team, his friends, enough to save the rest of the people that he couldn't. He still finds time to go to events like meet and greets, as in the Elastigirl novel, not just because he loves the attention, but in the back of his mind, he knows that the people want to see him. And he does it because he knows that what the people want. He still hangs out with the right crowd even though he can most likely go solo. But he still chooses to be around Mr. Incredible, Frozone, and the GOAT. Despite believing he'd be better off solo, he surrounds himself with the right people to keep him down to earth, so that he does not cross that line. I believe the NSA is just there to make sure that he doesn't. But he chooses not to out of his own will. When supers went into hiding, I believe Jack would have still stuck around with his friends, even as civilians. Despite him desperately wanting to be a super, he trusted Simon. He trusted his friend of being capable of being able to bring back supers and making them legal again. And finally, when Mirage found him and recruited him in the experiments on the Omnidroids, I believe he would have still been the same old sleazebag we all hate. But would I believe he would have found Gazerbeam's body? No. But I do believe is when he comes across the latest Omnidroids after destroying the one Gazerbeam fought, badly injured, he goes out with a bang. I believe being badly wounded and on the brink of the Omnidroid about to finish him off, he would have overloaded himself to the point where it would create an almost nuclear explosion, wiping out half of the island along with him. Of course, we know the droid survives this encounter, but that would highlight that Gamma Jack died trying to destroy what he believed would be a problem for his kind. And let's face it, if something can kill a god, what's the point of being all-powerful if you don't take it out? But that's all I got for you in today's episode. What are your thoughts? Do you think Gamma Jack isn't that bad? Or are you a real cult member and believes Gamma Jack needed to go? Let me know down in the comments. Now, if you haven't seen the post yet, I will be moving to 2 videos a month so that I have better quality of videos. The last thing I want is for y'all to be eating slop when y'all can be having better quality videos, you know? But if you enjoy this kind of content, leaving a like would be awesome as it gets the video out there, and subscribing will help the channel grow as we are growers and not showers. I'll leave my coffee link in the description, but that's all from your boy. I hope you have a wonderful day, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.